what's going on, everybody? So in today's video, we're going to be bleeding the brakes on a Mercedes-Benz S-Class S500 W220. And so this is going to be the bleeding order for bleeding the brakes here. And you can see you're going to want to start furthest away from the brake master cylinder and then work your way forward to the brake master cylinder. So this is the order right here. So if we were bleeding those brakes, then we would be right here on number 3. And then from there, we would work our way over to our final brake caliper, which would be the closest to the brake master cylinder. And this would be the last, and this is where we would finish on. So wherever your brake master cylinder is, that's where you're going to want to finish. Please show your support to the channel by hitting that thanks button. I really appreciate it. It helps a lot. Thank you very much. All right, so here's our brake master cylinder right here. And you can see there's a fluid level. So going back to the brake master cylinder, wherever it's at, that's where you want to finish last. And so you can see here there's a maximum and minimum, and we want to extract all this old dirty fluid out. You can see there it's kind of dirty, and that's just like, you know, from all the heat cycling, the dirt that gets in, all that kind of stuff. So we want to extract that. And you can use a syringe, and you can also use a vacuum pump. So if you don't have an air compressor, then the syringe is going to be good. If you have an air compressor, then go ahead and get a vacuum pump. It is going to make things a lot easier. And if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment down below and tell me what you prefer using, a syringe or vacuum pump. All right, so now what we're going to do is remove our cap just like that, and there's a little screen filter inside. So you're going to want to take that screen filter out, and it might have some brake fluid on it, so be careful. Brake fluid is corrosive, so you want to keep it away from paint. So always keep some towels handy. And now we're just going to take our syringe with our hose, and we're just going to start extracting that dirty brake fluid. You can see there that's what the dirty brake fluid looks like. When you buy new brake fluid, depending on the brand, it may be a certain color. So you might get a blue brake fluid or purple brake fluid or even a golden brake fluid. Some brands do make gold brake fluid, or you might get a clear brake fluid. So it all depends, but just be sure that you pay attention to the difference in color. So here you can see this is the vacuum pump, and it's going to be the same procedure. And just make sure that you extract all the corners and everything like that. You get into all the corners and extract all the fluid. And when there's no fluid in the reservoir, be sure not to step on the brake pedal at all. Also, here is our new brake fluid, and we're going to fill it up. So here is a bottle that we're going to sit on top of our brake master cylinder so that we can always have a constant flow of brake fluid coming in. So what we're going to do is we're going to just find the right adapter fitting for our brake master cylinder, and then we're just going to sit it up just like that. Now, this bottle is empty, but you're going to want to fill up the brake bottle with clean brake fluid. And as you're bleeding, that fluid's going to drain down into the brake master cylinder, and that way you will always have a good supply of brake fluid, and you won't introduce air into the system. Because if you get air into the system, then you're going to have to start all over. So we definitely don't want to do that. So it's important that we always keep brake fluid in supply. And that little lever at the bottom right there, that's what we're going to use to open up the valve. All right, so there's two methods to bleeding brakes. This is the first method. So first what we're going to do is put a piece of wood under the brake pedal so we don't max out that brake pedal when we're bleeding the brakes. Secondly, you're going to want to have an assistant. This this first method requires an assistant. And so pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and locate our brake caliper that's furthest away from the master cylinder, clean that nipple. And the reason we're cleaning the nipple is because when we slide on our rubber hose, just makes everything fit a little bit better. Now we're going to take our size 11 wrench, and we're always going to use the box end of the wrench, never the open end. So we're going to slide our box end over, and then we're going to put our clear hose over the nipple, and we're going to get some sort of container and fill it with clean brake fluid so that we can slide our hose into the fluid or into the container underneath the fluid so that we don't bring air into the system accidentally. It's just a safety precaution. So just fill up the container. You can use a glass jar, anything, but just put a little bit of brake fluid in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pump. We're going to tell our assistant to pump about 3 or 4 times, and then we're going to say hold. And then so our assistant's going to pump just like this, right? And then we're going to say hold, and they're going to hold their foot, and then we're going to open up the valve. And then as they're holding and applying pressure, they're going to take it all the way down to the piece of wood, and you can see the brake fluid come out just like that. They're going to still be holding. Then we're going to go and we're going to lock that valve again, and then we're going to repeat. We're going to say pump, and then they're going to pump. Then we're going to say hold, and then they're going to hold. We're going to open it. It's going to go to the floor. They're going to say, hey, it's on the floor. And then when it's on the floor, you're going to see it flow out. And then we're going to lock it again and then repeat. So then you'll see here, we're going to do it again. Pumping, right? And then so we're telling them pump. And then they're going to say hold, right? Then we're going to open it up. They're going to say it's on the floor. And then we're going to lock that valve again, so you can see it flow out. And then we're just going to go. And then that'll be like our final time. So what we're looking for are air bubbles and clean fluid. So once we don't see any more air bubbles and the fluid starts to come out clear, then we can go ahead and lock it off, get a piece of paper, and catch whatever brake fluid spills. Because remember, brake fluid is corrosive, so you don't want it to get on any paint or any sensitive materials. So now, after that, we're just going to go and we're going to put our nipple back on, and then we're going to move to our next brake caliper. So here's our nipple right here, and then we'll just slide that back on. And it's important to put the nipples back on just so that it minimizes the amount of dirt that gets into the brake system. Sometimes dirt can seep in. So remember, you can see here that our fluid level is at the minimum. So keep an eye on your master cylinder while you're bleeding the brakes, especially when you're using a vacuum pump. So now that we've worked our way through all the rear calipers, this is going to be the front caliper. They're a little bit different, but the procedure is still the same. So we're going to go ahead and remove that rubber boot, and we're going to clean it. You can see there, we're just going to inspect to see how dirty it is, if any kind of like calcium hardness is built up on it. And we're going to clean it, then we're going to wipe it, get it ready. Get our size 11 wrench. It's the same nipple size, so we can use the same wrench. We're going to take our hose right there and slide it on. And then from there, we're going to repeat the same process that I showed you earlier. We're going to pump about 3 or 4 times, or we're going to tell our assistant to pump 3 or 4 times. And then we're going to open it while they're holding. While they're applying pressure, you can see that pressure go down. And so because it was only me making this video, I actually didn't have anyone pumping for this. So it just kind of gravity bled on its own, which was really cool. So it saved me a step. But more fluid would come out. So once again, apologies for the confusion. Don't think that it's just a weak flow. So all you pharmaceutical companies that are trying to prescribe medication for this car, sorry, I'm not taking it. So once it's all done, once it's all bled and everything like that, then we're going to just repeat the same process, clean up any loose brake fluid, put that rubber cap back on, and we're all set pretty much. That's going to be it. So that's the procedure for bleeding brakes. That's the manual procedure. That is also known in the racing industry to be the best way to bleed brakes without introducing air into the system. Now, this method, the vacuum pump method, is for people that don't have an assistant. So, you don't have anyone to help you out. You couldn't bribe them with beer or anything like that, or apple cider. So you're going to use the vacuum pump. And it's going to be the same thing, but it's going to be a lot easier. And I prefer the vacuum method, especially if I'm not going to be racing or anything like that. If it's just day-to-day driving, the vacuum method is a great system to use to bleed the brakes. So it's going to be the same thing. We're just going to slide that rubber hose over the nipple, and we're going to hook up our air hose to the vacuum bleeder, and we're going to go ahead and engage the vacuum bleeder. We're going to open up the valve and then engage the vacuum bleeder. So as we open it up, we're going to just sit here and squeeze the handle, and you'll see the fluid start to come out. So you can see how the fluid comes out, and then just go ahead and open that up. Now, as the fluid's coming out, don't get carried away. Don't get all excited because it looks so cool and you're having a lot of fun, because you can easily drain out too much fluid and not check your brake reservoir, your brake master cylinder, and you'll introduce air back into the system. So pay attention to your brake master cylinder. Now, as you're removing the hose, keep that air on, and just keep it on and let all that fluid get sucked into the bottle. Now, once everything is nice and tight, you just repeat that. And remember, you're going to do the same procedure. Start from furthest away from the brake master cylinder and work your way toward the brake master cylinder. Put the cap back on just like that, and pretty much you are all set to go. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.